My grandmother looked around and sighed. Before I could ask her what was bothering her, she began to speak. She told me about the paradise that this place once was. I did not believe her. I mean, how could I? This place can barely provide food and shelter for my family alone. But looking at what's happening now, I think that when I tell my grandchildren that we once found some food and some shelter from here, they won't believe me. They will look at me with the same puzzled expression that I shot my grandma, and they will ask, how can you find food and shelter in these hotels and fenced human structures? Are you even safe in these yards, these human communities? Then I will say to them, we were once a community of elephants, over 200 strong, and this land belonged to us. At that point, my 3 grandchildren will look around our little elephant corner to see the only 5 other elephants still living. Then they will laugh hysterically, as if I just shared the most impossible joke. And as their laughter dies down, the same tear that rolled down my grandmother's cheek will probably roll down my own, because at that point, I will have realized what she did, that those coming after us will be in even worse trouble than we are, unless the humans stop taking our land and destroying the vegetation. Mizu EcoCare continues to share the story of human-wildlife conflict in Livingstone.
Good afternoon, fellow environmentalists and mindset changers. We continue with our interviews in Livingstone. With me is Mr. Ken Likokoto, the owner of Kelly Clean, which is a waste management company here in Livingstone. Welcome to the interview, Mr. Likokoto.
Thank you so much.
So we'll start with Kelly Clean itself. When did the company start operations? And what inspired you to start this particular company?
Okay, we started operating in 2009. But then, before it started in 2009, that was way back in Lusaka. I was hoping I could get a contract with Lusaka City Council, but then that time there was stiff competition, and I ended up getting a subcontract under the company that was working in District I, which is Kawata constituency. I just did it for about 6 months, and then later on it couldn't work out for me. So I decided I should actually look for a destination where I can do my waste management services. So I thought I could come back to not really my hometown, but this is where mom comes from. So when I got here, I approached the council, and then they told me, okay, not much has been done when it comes to companies running waste management. So I said, okay, I could offer actually help out and coming up maybe with a bylaw, because they didn't have a bylaw at that time. So the council was very welcoming, and then they told me I should actually look for people that are doing the same so that we can actually harmonize. To cut the story short, I saw this in Botswana because then I was working as a social worker, and I saw private companies collecting. So I thought, why not do it home? So when my contract ended, I came back, and I obviously wanted to do this thing. Not little did I know that there were people who were already doing it in Lusaka. So we just joined the rest of the people. Basically, that's how we started. So in 2009, we were called Kesley Enterprise Zambia Limited. And then over the years, we decided to change from Kesley Enterprise to Kelly Clean Zambia Limited. That was 2013. Okay. So then we got our grip, and we started operating in Livingstone. So we started out as a garbage collector, and we were just collecting and dumping. And over the years, we thought we should be able to actually add value to what we are collecting. So that's how we started the issue of recovery of material and then recycle of that same material.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we talk about you now collecting waste and trying to start the recycling business, specifically what type of waste do you collect? Then how viable is this business? Because a lot of people looking in from outside think the viability of such a business is just not there.
Okay. I think first of all, the type of waste we're collecting solid waste. And solid waste, obviously, when we started out, that is municipal waste that is produced from homes. We were not dealing with so much of industrial waste, and we were not dealing with so much of hazardous waste, which is sometimes clinical waste and other waste that are coming from industries.
Sure.
So we were basically dealing with just municipal waste, the waste that was coming from homes. And obviously, when we started out in terms of maybe sorting out, we were looking at plastic, we were looking at tins, we were looking at different kind of paper, boxes and white paper and all that. And those are the things that we were actually looking at. But for now, I think the portfolio has actually grown. We are even going into metal because we realize metal has also come up as one of those recyclable materials that you can actually recycle. Okay. So at the moment, we're covering everything. Yeah. So in terms of viability, yes, it is viable, very, very viable actually. Yeah, no. What is actually, I think, taking us down is because most of the starters in this country really don't have enough money to get equipment. So before you can realize what you put in, you would have to go through thin and thick for you to get there. So it hasn't been easy for me, but then we've tried all means to get where we are today. So the viability is there. I mean, if you're given a community that has about maybe 7,000 households and you're charging 60 kwacha per month, how much is that?
Quite some.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the viability is there, regardless of what the other people are saying it to be. But I think this is what is driving other economies in the Western world. Okay. So if you compare probably somebody who's employed to actually run the sanitary in the outside world, they are getting more than probably one of the directors that you can find within Zambia, because it's a lot of money. So the viability, yes, it has a viability. I think just takes political will, and it takes people who are serious and actually just putting the mind to it. Then it works out from there. Yeah.
So in terms of looking at waste as something that will bring cash as a resource, if you could just motivate us a bit. If one collects a ton of PET, for example, what type of finances are we talking about? How much does one make?
Yeah, depending with who you are selling it to.
Okay.
But then you see, I don't know why everyone thinks money is only starting from 1 kwacha. But I think money is starting from ways. If you correct me.
It is money.
Anything that has got to do with ways, people don't want to associate themselves. I mean, that's where the money is.
Yes, it's about the turnover.
Yes, without one way, you cannot make that much. So for me, I think I'm motivated from there.
Okay. That
whatever I collect, if I sell it 50 ngwe, and obviously if I have 30 tons times 50 ngwe, how much is it? See what I mean? There are tons and tons of waste in this city. So it's just a mindset. It's just a mindset. So if one came and sold a kg of PET to me, for instance, I'll buy that 1 kwacha. All right. So if they have 1 ton, they have 1,000 kwacha. I think that's where we need to begin from.
Okay.
We need to appreciate, and that is actually self-employment.
It is.
It is, because I mean, there's litter all over. There's PET everywhere. Yeah. Like this time around, the season is hot, and people are drinking a lot of fluids. They're taking a lot of water, and they're throwing of which we don't encourage people to be throwing anyhow. But then see, that's a trend now. People are throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. So if we keep on buying and we keep on picking and selling, I think we'll make money out of that. I'll tell you that there are plastics that are more than 1 kwacha. Others are fetching at 5 kwacha per kg.
Okay.
The
Which type of plastics?
The type of plastic, which is the dishes that we're using as utensils in our homes. Those dishes, the plastic dishes, the garden chairs. That's one of those plastics that we get at 5 kwacha. Even the bottles of, let me say, bottles of Vaseline, of course, lunch boxes where you put in your margarine, lunch boxes that you use in your homes, cups that are used in your home. That's PP. So when they're damaged, you bundle them together and then you bring a kg. That's 5 kwacha per kg. The bottles of my hair, that's 4 kwacha per kg. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about viability, employment, there's already employment there. We don't just see it.
So, in closing, what is the vision you have for Kelly Clean? Where do you see this company being 5 years from now?
Obviously, 5 years from now, I want this company to be one of the leading companies in waste management in this country. What do I mean? We want to handle waste at every level, beginning from the generation point to the last point. So we need to just put equipment from the beginning to the end. You see, we have our colleagues, the Chinese. I'm calling them colleagues because we're working with them.
Sure.
Our colleagues, the Chinese, are taken over the shore. They are running this show. They have equipment. They buy these materials from us, and obviously, after buying these materials from us, they make much more than we make ourselves. Why? It's because they're processing it. They're adding value to it. The only value that we're adding ourselves is sorting. But for them, they make sure they go through a wash liner, probably. And after that process, sometimes they will put it in a machine to just make pellets. And they make money on both sides.
The pellets, of course, costing way more.
Yes. And the flexi maybe costing a little bit more, but it's much more that they make than we do. So I think my vision is to be able to graduate at the level of just supplying material and at the level of actually getting the material myself and actually processing it to the level where we can actually sell it to people that are manufacturing different type of things like bottles, like couches, like zambas, like jerseys for football. You know that the PET, the bottles of water, that's where the football jerseys are made from. Did you know that?
No, that's news to me.
Yeah. Most of the curtains you see are made out from that.
Okay.
So these guys are making more money than we are doing. So we could set up industries that make curtains, that make jerseys, that make different kinds of things. Even the hair, the wigs that you're seeing with women, they call it synthetic hair. That's plastic, that's PET. The bottles of water. Okay. You see that? Because when you put that under pressure or under heat, it will burn out. It's plastic. So all those things, and those things obviously are coming from South Africa into Zambia. When they make them from there, they're using the same products that are coming from this country and make such kind of things.
So our biggest challenge is value addition from right here.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lukokoto, thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure seeing what you do here and having a chat with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. I hope you tell the story very well so that at least we can inspire somebody out there to be able to pick something.
We'll do our best.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for being with us. Follow us as we continue to speak to more stakeholders in Livingstone. Nice afternoon.